Hey, hi, and how are you? I hope you're doing good. I'm doing fine. Uh, I don't know what it is, but at nighttime I get full of this mucus and snot, and it just seems like I've had this cold and it has not gone away forever, and it drives me nuts. I'm hacking and sounding disgusting, but anyways, um, I hope everybody's doing good. Uh, it's like every day I wake up and I think, well, let's check YouTube and see what kind of new hell is going on today. What part of Revelation are we in the Ben Hell series? I'll tell you what, uh, it's rightly named a joke now. Not a joke. I know people were made up a lot of names about things in this case, but Ben Hell is not a joke. To me, it's the truth. All the people around that hill are strange. All of them are criminals. All of them. The neighbors, all of them, including Jody Sue. She has a past record of dealing in drugs along with Andy and Fred Hill and Don Wells. He's been in prison for it before, so he's up there doing it. So everybody has been doing selling and being criminals on Ben Hell. I don't know about anybody else, but it just seems like the devil is really in this case. And it just seems so satanic. The way people are behaving, the way people are acting, demonic. There's some level of hatred that has come out in the Summer Wells case from other creators that is unreal. That there's like no levels that they won't stoop to trash another person. I'm really disappointed and sad that that one creator had to sit there and trash and dox Tammy's family from Smiley's story world. She hasn't done anything wrong, and she's really had a hard time trying to get her channel at first. Here's what I want to say. Doug was the meanest to her from No Thanks Investigates. He was so mean. I remember him making fun of her when she first came out. And, she has struggled, but she also is a wonderful person as far as I'm concerned. She seems very sweet. And I like Smiley's Story World, and I follow her channel. And I listen to her videos. I don't know how many of you do, but I think she's a nice person, and I enjoy her, and I think she's funny. So I don't really care what that other creator wants to say. And, it really ticks me off because, that creator that's harassing that's bullying Smiley and trashing her, he don't got no innocent past either. He's got all kinds of skeletons and problems in his life, and yet he's judging Smiley. He's trying to judge her and her family. And I know when he gets with a certain other creator, another girl that goes and gets on his panel and joins up with him, it seems like every time she gets around him, it's demonic and there's troubles. This girl is a troublemaker, a shit stir. Excuse my language, but she's a shit stir from the beginning. And it's like she thinks she owns YouTube, so she tries to control everybody in every channel. And, it's just so nasty. Like, I'm sitting here watching this and I'm like, just so I could see what they were saying, it seemed so nasty. And here's voices, I'm sorry, behind the wall. She's over there saying, oh, she's a weirdo and she's this and she's that. And, I don't know who these creators think they are. They don't run the YouTube streets. And it's like if you don't, go along with them or go with their stupid, whatever they're saying, then you're like their enemy. And heaven forbid anybody say anything about that creator over there, that guy. Now listen, you guys, I was following him, not following him, but, watching his videos. Some of them really cracked me up. And I really felt that if he put his mind to it, that he could do a lot to solve the Summer Wells case because he knew the family and he seemed to have some wisdom and to put some things together, but he just cannot stop. It seems like the devil gets a hold of him and he starts harassing people when he's around that lady is what I'm saying. When he's not around that other creator, he seems to be pretty decent. That's just my opinion. I don't know all the personal things about this creator, all the bad things that he's done. I know a lot of people have complained about him and say he's like the worst bully or blah blah blah. I thought he has a lot of potential, but he uses his energy for the wrong things because I think everybody has a plan, and God even has a plan for this guy, but he doesn't see it because right now he's being fooled by the devil and those that are doing things in the darkness. And God doesn't like people playing games and pretending to be Christians and putting the Lord's name on evil. And when you do those kind of things, the devil will come in because you're blaspheming and you're making a mockery out of God. And you're not, as far as I'm concerned, none of these people are Christians at all. They might claim to know him. They might, even, I'm sorry, but Robin Lane, I don't care if you love her and think she's the sweetest girl in the whole wide world. I think that there is something about her that's very shady and scary. I think that she is a sweet person, yes, but I think she would do anything to be right in the middle of helping the Wells. And they do run an adoption agency out of that church, which I want everyone to know that. If you go over to Voices Behind the Wall and look through her videos, she actually has a picture. She has the website from Don's church and Robin's church that has a catalog where you can choose your child. And so it's very concerning to me, very red flaggish to me, if Robin Lane is trying to get involved with getting the boys back. It's very concerning to me about Tim Mullins. I think you should go watch, I think it's, oh boy, Crime Catalyst. That's the name of her channel. You guys, I don't know if you've seen those videos of Tim, but the way that they're just presented on there, my God, he is so creepy and he is so scary to me. And he's involved with this and making accusations against DCFS, whatever it's called there in Tennessee. It's called Department of Child Protective Services here. CPS, that's what we call it. So, but, I don't know why they're doing this. Well, I do know why, because listen, Robin and Tim think that if there's some kind of Christian upstanding church person, helping the Wells and supporting them, that will look good on them, and that therefore they can look good in court, see? And it makes them look like good people when we know for a fact that Don and Candace are not good people. I'm sorry if anybody doesn't like my opinion, and that's just my opinion because they have proven over and over that they are very not so good parents or people, the way that they behave. They have behaved so badly and them parents have played so many games, have behaved so badly, done so many awful things. In 2 years from the day that their daughter went missing, they've been playing games, they've been lying, they've been not searching for their daughter, not worried about Summer Wells. And we know that Summer's not going ever back to her family if she ever is found alive. But after 2 years, I don't think there's any real possibility. But you can never say never. But the thing is that, they seem to have a good time moving on with their life. They're going to these places, and supposedly I seen Candace there at the fair passing out stuff, and supposedly Janky's boyfriend and some other YouTuber got arrested. But I don't know if that's rumor or not. And listen, you guys, I'm not going to get into any of the drama because that's all that it is. And it's like distractions and getting you to run around and think about all these other things instead of Summer Wells. So, if you like being in that kind of chaos, and that kind of drama, but it's very pathetic to me. And it just seems so devilish because these people are acting so crazy. Crazy. Just because you don't like another creator or they say something against you, you don't gotta go and trash them and dox their whole family. And who cares, like I was saying, this other creator that attacked Smiley that's, saying this crap, he sure don't have a rosy past. He's done a lot of bad things and he's a criminal himself. And so what? Smiley does not control what her children do in life. Just like, obviously, no one's controlling him or that other lady on YouTube that he hangs out with. Okay? It's wrong. It's immature. I feel like we're on the 4th grade playground. Johnny did this, Susie did that, and now you're gonna get this, and now you're gonna have problems, and you can't come to my house, and I don't want to talk to you, and blah, 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 instead of acting like a mature adult. So I put up a post, which I understand that said that this other creator was bullying, but I wanted to know why. Because like I said, I care about his life, and I hope that he doesn't get fallen into the trap of this girl that seems to spread her division. She spreads conflict, problems, gossip. She manipulates. She really manipulated Jody Sue. And then she comes back and tries to act like she's her friend or tries to act nice to her. I mean, she plays games. And you know what that is? That's a Jezebel spirit. I don't know if you ever looked it up. Look it up. Google it. A Jezebel spirit is a controlling, which is witchcraft. Look up James. The book of James. It talks about confusion and division, and that it does not come from the Lord, that comes from the devil. causing problems, because that is a controlling spirit. And I don't know, I'm just disgusted by the whole thing. And I get real tired of the games in this case, and weirdos, people acting so weird in the Summer Wells case. She's a missing little girl, and I'm sorry, but you got women out there trying to taunt Don. Oh, Donnie. Oh, this, Don. Oh, that, Don. You just wait and see. Why would you want to taunt the father of this missing child? I'm sorry, but that's very immature. And it's ridiculous because it ends up being gossip and drama, and then you got the one over there sending pictures to him and wanting to talk to him all the time. I mean, it's gross. To me, it's gross. And you got to go to a whole new level if you want to be going out with Don Wells. Excuse me. Sorry for saying. But, I mean, he'd be the last person I'd ever even think about going out with. Come on. I mean, not only does he have a severe criminal history background, you're not the age bracket that he likes. You're not his type, these women. I've said it before in my last video. But it's just like nonstop nonsense. So that's what I'm saying about this right now. It's crazy. It's just crazy. And then people gotta focus on that. And they gotta get into it. And they gotta talk about every detail about it. And who's in jail or who isn't in jail. Or who is this or who is that. Who the hell cares? Who cares? Who's going out with who, making out with who, fighting with who? Who cares? This is a serious case. Summer Wells has been missing for over 2 years now. And something very bad happened to her. And no one knows where she is. Not only her parents, but all the people around the parents are playing games, including YouTubers. And it's really, really bad, you guys. And, I am trying to mind my own business, really. I'm trying to stay in my own corner, do my little videos, talk about Summer Wells, and try not to get into it. But it's like sometimes you can't help but say something. But I'm not going to sit here, that other creator that I said was harassing Smiley told me to not tag him in anything, anymore. And that's fine. But, I don't want to, I could say nasty things and say, oh, what a piece of this, and let's dox him, and let's do this, and let's expose his whole family on YouTube. Come on, people. We gotta answer to God for the things that we do in our life. And I try to remember that and keep my heart in check. No, I'm not perfect. None of us have perfect paths. And Smiley's story world sure can't. She can't control her children or what they do. And you can't bear fault against her because, they want to be bad or rebellious or do crazy things that, I've seen preachers' kids who the parents done everything right, and yet they turn out really bad. So you don't sit there and trash somebody because of their children's decisions. I'm sorry. And it's really none of your business anyways, just like it's none of her business to know what's going on in your life. It's none of anybody's business what's going on in people's personal life. You really shouldn't care. And all this tells me is that people are at a very low level of maturity if this is how they have to act all the time. It's really toxic behavior. And I'm used to being quiet, being in my own house, being with myself here and my family. And I'm not into those kind of things. And I live far enough away from people, like from the city, that I don't have to deal with anybody coming to visit and telling me nasty or stupid things. But boy, I've seen a lot of it on YouTube, let me tell you. So pretty much I've been sheltered a lot in my life for the past 15 years at least now. And I don't have people come to visit me. And I don't go visit people. And I'm retired. It's quiet here. Everybody's quiet at my house. So I'm just not used to this nonsense and this drama. So, and, I don't know. I heard that Robin was trying to stand up and get the boys and Tim Mullen and all this nonsense. And I pray to God that those children never have to return to that family. And I wanted to say another thing about that. Them boys, it seems like they should have talked by now, but I don't know how ingrained Don and Candace, messed with them and scared them or told them things that they couldn't tell. But I do know that sometimes it takes a couple years. I believe in the Orrin and Orson case, it took a couple years for the siblings to talk. And sometimes, it takes kids getting past the fear of what might happen to them if they tell something. And so I'm just really surprised that we haven't heard that, the kids haven't spilled the beans on something. But, the thing is, there was a lot of bad people hanging around the wells. And they were having people over. And they did have some get-togethers over there. And Don, his little speech about we don't hang around no bad people. We try to only hang around the good people. Well, that's the biggest bunch of bullshit I ever heard in my life right there. That is bad. So, because we know that that's the biggest lie one of the biggest lies that you've told so far, Don. You don't hang out with just good people. You're doing all kinds of bad stuff, taking little trips to Knoxville, getting those lady massages, going to pick up ladies, allegedly, from what your good buddy over there says about you on that other channel. He said you like to pick up hookers, and you like to go there to get your drugs, so, we know that you aren't hanging out with just good people. And you've had bad people at that house, which any number of them could have took Summer Wells. I mean, they had the opportunity. You opened the door. Don and Candace. If you didn't do this yourself, you opened the door and you put Summer at risk in every way possible. I sit there and I see these posts by Tim Mullen saying, oh, well, these are good, loving family. You can see the kids smiling. Yeah, you know what? I can also see Summer's bald head. I can see Summer not being watched or supervised at church. I can see Summer grabbing at herself in filthy, dirty clothes. And a lot of bad pictures, too. And I can see how the one younger boy, the one that's just a step older than Summer, there's a picture of him in the swimming pool, and he looks emaciated. I mean, he looks so thin. And so does Summer. When you look at her in her bathing suit by those old sheds, she is so tiny. so thin. And yet the older boy was heavy set, so weird. But I don't see how they had no happy good life. Just looking at the property itself, looking at the behavior of the parents all in the 2 years. So I hope that the boys will eventually say something to give us some kind of clue to where Summer might be. You know, if Candace would have started off with a different story in Don, because you don't know, Don could have made up this story with her. Don could have said, tell him that you were planting flowers or something with your mom and she was gone in 2 minutes. You don't know what Don and Candace, they might have been together and collaborate in this story. But the thing is, they should have came up with a better story more than 2 minutes, Tim Mullen. Summer did not go missing in 2 minutes with everybody on the property and 20 dogs. If she would have said that she was gone for a few minutes up the road, maybe a half hour, and told the boys to keep an eye on her or her mother, then we might believe this story. But we do not. I'm sorry, I do not believe this 2 minute, 5 minute story from a locked basement or an unlocked basement or by her swing or all the million different things they've told us. So whatever, it's all scripted to me, and it was all pre-planned that day. If it's not pre-planned, then she showed us. Candace shared videos from different times, different days that she had Summer out and about. So I don't know, but I wanted to show you guys how Summer Wells' case reminds me so much of Joe Clyde Daniels. He's a little boy that went missing out of Tennessee. And, well, that's what his parents reported him as missing. But come to find out, the dad had beat him. He confessed to it. Him and the mother are in prison right now. And as far as I know, they have never found Joe Clyde Daniels' body. And this is in Tennessee too, and he reminds me, even the way he looks, he reminds me of Summer Wells. But I want to go through this with you and just talk about it for a few minutes, okay? This was like from a year ago, but listen to this.
Channel 5's Nick Barris with exclusive details on what authorities believe might be the most likely location and why that means the little boy's remains may never be found.
5-year-old Joe Clyde Daniels disappeared from his Dixon home 4 years ago this month. He is, of course, presumed to be dead.
There's a glare.
But to this day, after so many searches, still no sign of the little boy's remains. Just this past month, Joe Clyde's mother, Crystal, took a plea deal to serve 15 years for aggravated child abuse and tampering with evidence.
Guilty.
And before that, Joe Clyde's father, Joseph, was convicted and sentenced to life in prison for murder. This after admitting to beating his son to death.
Why did I go?
At trial, Joe Clyde's brother testified that his father then carried the little boy from the home.
The defendant started walking down the driveway?
Yes,
What had he done with Joe Clyde?
he had him in his arms.
But then what happened? Neither Joseph or Crystal Daniels have ever told police what happened to their son's body. That is the driving force behind the Joe Clyde Daniels Act, which allows the Board of Parole to consider that lack of cooperation when deciding on a possible early release.
If there is a parole eligibility, it needs to be reserved for people who can someday be redeemed with a lot of work.
So the question remains, where is Joe Clyde? There are many theories, but those close to the case say the most likely location is a landfill. The father went to a Dixon truck stop the night Joe Clyde disappeared. He could have put the small body in a dumpster, which was emptied before Joe Clyde was even reported
Very blurry.
missing. To this day, it is still not exactly clear which landfill the trash truck went to, and even with cadaver dogs, searching acres of debris for a small child's remains is almost an impossible task. The sad reality is Joe Clyde's body may never be found. Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
It is very sad, you guys. And, but I wanted to show you something else here. This little boy, I guess he peed, but, I want you to just hear this for a minute. Hold on. Listen to this.
Evening, everyone. We now know how a 5-year-old boy with autism in Dixon died. Court documents say Joe Clyde Daniels was beaten to death by his own father. News Channel 5's Matthew Torres went to Dixon County, where his classmates and teachers are now trying to move on despite this disturbing development.
The sign outside the elementary school where Joe Clyde Daniels used to attend says it all. He will be missed. Today, students return to class without the beloved classmate, and it's hitting hard for them and the teachers.
Teachers are sad. It's heartbreaking. Many of us are mothers, and it's just heartbreaking to lose one of your own.
It's been a tough Monday for the staff and students at Centennial Elementary. Principal Christy Shelley says the school is doing everything it can to get back to its feet. The school held a moment of silence for little Joe after learning his father confessed to killing him over the weekend. Today, court documents revealed his father, Joseph Daniels, repeatedly hit his son in the head, face, and upper body at their house. It went on to say he placed the body in the trunk of his car and disposed of it in a remote area. Search crews have not found his body. Joe is described as a sweet boy many couldn't help but love. Another way the school is honoring him is giving out apples to students. Joe loved fruits and apples were his favorite. The young boy was autistic and couldn't speak, but his personality left a lasting legacy.
I would see Joe lots of mornings. He would come right through these doors, and one day recently he had his breakfast in his hand. He had a fried egg and bologna sandwich, and he was enjoying it immensely because he did love to eat.
About 800 apples were donated since the weekend. The school principals...
Okay. Excuse me. Yes, the father, first they reported him missing, and then he finally confessed, the father confessed that he killed his son, that he beat him. And the child, his brother, testified what happened to him and told what happened to him. And first, they said he ran away, that he might have got out the door and escaped, that they had a door lock, but that he could get out of it. And that's what reminded me so much. And this was the mother, and she sat there and watched the whole thing of what happened to Joe Clyde Daniels. And I recommend that you see his whole story, but after this happened to him, there's a new act that was, a new law, and this is what I want to do for summer. There needs to be a new law, and
that we've been following for years.
Some way to push something here.
Parents are now behind bars, serving time for his death.
Of course, the 5-year-old boy was reported missing back in 2018, and soon after, Joseph and Crystal Daniels were arrested, accused of killing their child, but no remains were ever located to this day. Just yesterday, Crystal Daniels accepted a plea deal instead of going to trial. She was sentenced to 15 years in prison, but will be eligible for parole after serving 85% of that sentence.
Joseph Daniels was sentenced to life in prison last year. He will be eligible for parole in 50 years. But one lawmaker is hoping to pass a law in little Joe Clyde's honor that would keep Joseph in jail forever.
Unless he tells investigators where his son's body can be found. News Channel 5's Aaron Cantrell joins us live this morning with more, because we're talking about the Joe Clyde Daniels Act. And Aaron, this actually just passed through a committee vote a little earlier. So what can we expect from this?
Yeah, Ben and Amy. So Representative Michael Curcio. He's the sponsor of this bill. In fact, he is from the Dixon area, and this case is very close to him, but not only him, so many people. I mean, if you go back to nearly 4 years ago when Joe Clyde went missing, so many people, they went out there searching for this little boy to try to bring closure in this case.
Can't see it, so blurry.
In fact, Curcio says his wife was Joe's teacher when he disappeared. So last summer, a jury found Joseph Daniels guilty of felony murder and second-degree murder in the death of his son, Joe Clyde. He was sentenced to life in prison with eligibility for parole after 51 years. Now, Representative Curcio says if he does come up for parole, it needs to be reserved for people who can someday be redeemed with a lot of work. He doesn't think that's what's happened here in this case. So the Joe Clyde Daniels Act, broken down, basically says if you refuse to give up the location of remains, the parole board will take that into consideration. Now, Curcio has been applauded for doing this, especially because this is such a tragic situation, and lawmakers have applauded him for trying to turn something so tragic into a positive situation. But to catch up on the latest about Joe Clyde and what has happened inside the courtroom, just head on over to newschannel5.com.
So that is amazing. So because it says Joe Clyde Daniels Act would bring harsher punishments for hiding, the whereabouts of the child. So this is good news for summer, because this was only like a couple years, or I think just last year, like a year before Summer went missing, that they were sentenced. So if even that. So, but they created this act just a year ago, and I think that's wonderful. And if Don and Candace know anything about where Summer is, they're going to get in some really bad trouble. And parole board won't even consider them getting out. So, they better think about that, because there's the Joe Clyde Daniels Act. And I just want you, his blanket was found,
So Daniels begins today in Dixon County. Daniels is accused of killing his 5-year-old.
Okay, one more, and then we're just going to talk for a minute.
Begins today in Dixon County. Daniels is accused of killing his 5-year-old son back in 2018.
Today was opening arguments in the trial, and first witnesses were also called. News 4's Marissa Sulik was in the courtroom. And Marissa, who was brought to the stand today?
Well, Marius, immediately after the opening statements, we went into the evidence portion of the trial, and so far we've heard from Joe Clyde's bus driver, the 911 dispatcher who took the call the night that Joe Clyde went missing, but the most important one was Joe Clyde's teacher. Now, Jessica Donnersdag, his teacher, says Joe Clyde was known for his plaid button-down shirt, cowboy boots, and his love for apples. In an opening statement, the state says Joseph Daniels told first responders Joe Clyde escaped by putting a key in the lock on the front door the night his son went missing.
That's what it reminds me.
As evidence was a lock and key. His teacher says this was one motor skill Joe Clyde had difficulty.
Listen to this.
Alphabet locks could match upper and lower case letters, had difficult time manipulating key and lock, discussed poor fine motor skills with OT, which is the occupational therapist. Kelly said she was aware and has been working on fine motor skills. There was a marked difference between what he could perform and what his same-aged peers could perform as well.
The teacher also
So he couldn't
had some difficulty saying certain
do a
words.
lot.
She says he mostly spoke using vowels. Lauren.
Okay, Marissa, thank you.
And he was autistic.
Against Joseph Daniels, the father. First-degree murder and perpetration of a felony, aggravated child abuse, initiating a false report, and tampering with evidence. Joe Clyde's mother, Crystal Daniels, is also facing charges of aggravated child neglect. Stay with News 4 for updates on the...
So, see, it just really reminded me of the Summer Wells case. the dad said that, and it was an interesting trial. And I feel bad, so very bad for this baby boy, little Joe Clyde Daniels. And I'm glad he got justice, but this case was proved, and they were found guilty, and they did not have a body. All they had was circumstantial evidence, and this was in Tennessee. So, Nashville, I believe, somewhere around there, but it's very sad that he's never been found and, rightfully put to rest. But I'm glad that his parents are in prison and, that there is some kind of justice. It's not justice. I mean, when your life's taken or when you're horribly hurt or whatever, it's not justice really, because you can't get back what happened. I mean, that person is gone. Little Joe's gone. You can't take back, what they did. But, I think about this case, and I recommend that you go look up Joe Clyde Daniels and you watch some of the coverage of the trial when they had witnesses on trial. Somebody seen the father walking, standing by a bridge. And first he tried to say that little Joe ran away, and look how little he is. I don't know how old, if he was 5 or 6. I think he was 5. But, the whole thing just seems so weird to me, and it reminds me of Summer Wells' case. And so they reported him missing. Somebody seen him out by this bridge, which I believe the police checked, but he put little Joe Daniels somewhere. They never found his body. But he sat there and beat that little boy because I believe he peed on the floor. And when little children are peeing their pants or peeing the bed, wetting the bed, that can very much be a sign that they are being abused, SA'd, or being child abused, just abused, physically abused, mentally abused, but mostly SA'd. They could have a urinary tract infection. They could be afraid of getting up in the night, but all those things need to be ruled out if a child is wet in the bed all the time and having problems sleeping. But, so his father was a truck driver, Big Joe, and he was tired and mad that these kids were up and that he peed on the floor, and he threw something down, I guess newspapers or something on the floor, like little Joe was a animal or something there, and made him go back to bed. And then he beat him up, punished him or whatever later on. I don't know. I can't remember all the details, you guys. Because it's been like a year since I watched everything on it. But, it's so close to Summer Wells. It reminds me of her case. They talk about the lock. This is what the father said. He said, oh, he always takes off outside. He wants to go running off outside. He might have ran away. And this is in the cold. And in the winter, I believe. And I'm not sure. Don't take that to the bank and tell me to bring you receipts, because I don't remember what time of the year it was. But I believe it was cold out. And he was trying to say that Joe Clyde could reach this lock that was up there on the door, and that he could pull the coffee table over and he could get out and unlock it. And maybe he could. But his teacher testified that he could not manipulate a lock. He wasn't old enough yet. my grandson's only going to turn 5, and he can't do a lot of things yet. They're just little. They're little babies. And Summer Wells was just a little girl, a little baby. It's like they're still a toddler at that age. So there is a lot of things that they cannot do. And, you know, Candace really made a big deal about that lock, and so did Don on that basement door. And once again, I want to remind everyone that I heard, and I did a video about this, that somebody said that they reported Don and Candace because they were locking Summer in the basement like a dungeon. And she was screaming and crying. And that's how they were punishing her. And that she had ripped out some flowers. So and her mom really whipped her and put her in the basement. Allegedly. So, but somebody did call Protective Services, and there was a complaint made, that lady said. So anyways, you guys, it's just strange, you know. But parents, I'm not saying Don and Candace absolutely for a fact did this to Summer, but parents lie all the time. They say, oh no, I didn't have nothing to do with it. No, they must be here, they must be there. Maybe they ran away, somebody abducted them, whatever. And I want to remind everybody too, that when Summer went missing, this was during the COVID time. And a lot of people were trapped, not locked, but, you know, couldn't go very many places. There was nobody was visiting other people or supposed to be. But the thing is, kids weren't in school, and tensions get high when you have abusive, violent people or abusive home. The tensions get high in the house the longer you have to spend together during the day in a 24-hour period. That's why a lot of kids have been saved for the mere fact that they get to go to school and eat a regular lunch, or go to school and be warm, or go to school and be protected and safe from being hit or knocked around. And this was during this time, during COVID, that this happened. And so, you know, I'm not saying they did hurt her, but it's a good possibility that somebody lost their temper and, you know, she was put somewhere. Or the worst thing that I don't want to believe, but I wouldn't doubt that she was, handed off to someone for an amount of money. So everybody's innocent until proven guilty. And I know that Summer's parents have not been convicted in a court of law, but they also have not been cleared as suspects. So Tim Mullins can be over there carrying on, but they have not been cleared as suspects. This is a serious crime. It's an open and an active investigation. It's not a cold case. And they are actively investigating this, even if you don't hear a single word behind the scenes. Because the thing is, no, I am really disappointed in Hawkins County and the sheriff. And I think if you have an opinion, you should let them know. Write them a letter, which write him an email, something, and let them know that that's wrong, that his son was out for, the sheriff's son got out for serious SA charges of a child. And yet, how do we expect justice from him for Summer Wells? And people need to let the Tennessee governor or whoever, the people that have any kind of authority, if you live in that area, let people know. And like I said, I have emailed the Tennessee governor, and it doesn't hurt to do it a few times. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, gets the oil, the more that you complain, the more that you say something, like I said, in a community post, you know, there was a YouTuber, Ruby Frankie, who, her kids were being tied up, and had her friend there that was abusive to the kids too, Jody Hildebrandt, all over. And she had all these kids, this Ruby Frankie, and exploiting them on YouTube and being very abusive. But the thing is, all these YouTubers called CPS. They called the police. They made complaints. And thank God they did, because look at how it's going to help in court when, you know, they have to face their trial. So don't be afraid to complain. Don't be afraid to speak up for any kind of child that's being abused. Don't be afraid to report child abuse. Don't be afraid to report stuff like that or stand up for stuff like that. You know, Summer Wells needs advocates. Summer Wells needs a voice. Summer Wells needs people who are going to defend her. Summer Wells needs somebody who's going to stand up and speak up. And to me, I'm sorry, this is just my opinion, but handing out flyers after 2 years and carrying on, there's no sign of Summer Wells. And I don't believe she's been abducted by a stranger, and neither do her parents, not really, because they know where she is, and I believe that with all my heart. So why be out sending out flyers and missing posters when you know when your own child where she's at or what happened? And I believe they are aware of that. So, but yes, I cannot. That's all I'm going to say, you guys. I think it's really sad that all this circus has to go on around a missing child. She gets lost in all the chaos, all the little children that are missing and still haven't been found. We've been hearing some stuff that maybe Michael Vaughn will get justice, that they're maybe arrest somebody. I pray so, you guys. I'm always praying for these little kids because it breaks my heart. I have my own kids and I have grandkids, and it just really hurts my heart and bothers me to see what's happening in the world. So many children being abused, so many children, you know, aren't with us anymore because their parents lost control of themselves and did some kind of harm to the child. But I hope all of you will encourage Smiley's story world so she doesn't get depressed. And, you know, if you know a good creator out there that's putting out at least decent info about Summer, or, you know, not having a bunch of drama, then support that channel. And be encouraging to other creators, you know, to the good ones. And, you know, dislike the bad ones. And I can't watch, you know, if it's too much, I can't watch a bunch of stuff like that. It affects me negatively. You know, it seriously does. Physically, I can feel negatively affected by all the sick, toxic behavior in some of these true crime cases. I mean, they say they're true crime creators, some of these people, but really, they're all about the drama and, oh, this and that and this and that, and it's not really about Summer Wells. So please, you know, speak up for Summer Wells and other missing kids. Don't give up. Summer Moon Utah Wells is missing out of Rogersville, Tennessee. if you have any information regarding her whereabouts, or if you've seen what happened to her on that day, June 15th, 2 years ago, please, I beg of you to call in and tell TBI. Please. For Summer Wild's sake, somebody come forward and tell what you know. And if anybody knows what happened to Joe Clyde Daniels or where he might be, come forward and tell where he is, and Michael Vaughn. So, anyways, you guys, I don't know, but I am tired of the games from Tim Mullins, Cher, John, all the dang drama, the bullying, the harassing. I've had it. So, but I'm here, you guys. I'm doing my best to try to stay out of it. I love you all. I hope you're all doing good. And keep thinking about these kids. Keep praying. And contact your local, the governor, and let him know how you feel about some of these things. Okay. Well, and try to stay away from the circus, This isn't my circus, not my monkeys, not my circus. Or what's that other meme joke? Don't bring your train wreck over here. This isn't your... Oh, God, I don't even remember. This isn't your track or something. But, yeah, it seems like a train wreck sometimes, But anyways, take it easy. I hope you have a great week this week. And it's cold here. We got our wood stove going, let me tell you. It's freezing, seems like, up here, but that's okay. I don't mind it. But anyways, take it easy, and God bless you all. Bye.